Everyone, welcome to another episode of Pick and Roll with the Presley Bros. Well, we made it. The time is here. It is now. The tournament starts tomorrow with the first four end games, but the whole tournament officially starts on Thursday, and I'm excited. I know everyone else is too. We are so stoked for this tournament. I want to pause for a moment, look down below, see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about us. Tell your family about us. We want to grow this channel. We want to grow the love of college basketball. We're talking about the upsets that are going on, that possibly are going to happen in March Madness. The things that could go on. My first one that's very popular pick is USF over Louisville. USF is the first team. They're the number one team in the American Conference and the American Athletic Conference. And former Alabama coach Brian Hodgkins is now the head coach over there, and he has done a fantastic job. Another kind of a sob story here, but Brian Hodgkins' dad has dementia and has never got to watch him coach, but where they're going to play at, I can't remember exactly where they're going to play, but it's close to where Brian Hodgkins' dad lives, so his dad gets to watch him coach for the first time ever. So what an incredible memory for Brian Hodgkins and his team. Just even more motivation to get the win over Louisville. It is a very popular pick. If Mikael Brown Jr. doesn't play, Louisville's in trouble. They're in trouble. They have lost some games they shouldn't have lost to. They shouldn't have lost this year. And South Florida is a good team. They beat out Louisville in every single category except field goal percentage. Here we go. I'm going to read these out to you. 87.7 points per game compared to Louisville's 84.8. Field goal percentage, 44% for USF, 47% for Louisville. Rebounds, 43 for USF, 38 for Louisville. Louisville really struggles rebounding the ball. Assist actually is about the same, so 17 a game for both teams. Blocks, four for USF, 3 for Louisville. Steals, this is actually really impressive. 9 steals a game, averaging 9 steals a game for USF. So they average approximately, if they're getting the turnovers from the blocks, not every time you don't get a turnover, but if they are, they're averaging 13 turnovers a game to Louisville's 10. So they are a very talented team. USF is good. I mean, they are. What's their record? Why is it not showing me for some reason? 25-8. It wasn't showing me their record for a minute. Sorry, 25-8. And Louisville. I mean, I'm just telling you, Louisville is. They have not been great, especially without Mikael Brown. I mean, they recently lost to SMU, who's playing in the first 4-in game on Wednesday. They've also lost. Let's look at some other games they've lost to. SMU. They've also beat SMU, but they lost to them as well. They lost to Stanford by 4. Let's see who they lost. I'm trying to see if they've lost to any other bad teams. Like, those are some pretty bad teams that they lost to. Actually, that's really not that bad. There's like the 2 worst teams that they lost to is Stanford and SMU. But Louisville, they struggle rebounding the ball. They're a very small team. You better watch out for USF. Watch out for I think it's the Blazers. Is that what they're called? Or the Bulls? No, they're the Bulls. My bad. Not the Blazers. The Bulls. Watch out for USF. That's definitely a very popular pick in this March Madness. Next, let's move on down. I don't think there's going to be any other in the East region personally. I just think all these other teams are too good, too strong, too talented for any of the other teams to win. Let's go down to the South region where Florida's the number 1 seed. I'm talking about McNeese over Vandy. This one is a little more unpopular, but we saw McNeese do it last year to a really good Clemson team. Can they do it again? Can McNeese do it again? The Cowboys beat the Commodores. I think it is highly possible. McNeese, very talented again. They are full of athletes. Like they were last year, and they play really well together, but I think Vandy is just going to be too much for them. I don't see this one happening. I think that Vandy is just too good and they're really hot right now. But, 12 versus 5 is a very popular pick. It's very popular. So watch McNeese over Vandy. The next game, Troy versus Nebraska. Fun fact, if you do not know this, Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game. Never. And Troy has a couple wins over some solid teams. I'm trying to go look at their schedule and remember who they beat. They almost beat USC, lost on a crazy buzzer beater. And USC, obviously, they're not like a great team this year, but they're solid. USC is solid. Troy is definitely solid. They ran through the Sun Belt this year. I mean, they're 22-11. They've lost some games that you're kind of shaking your head at, like, what in the world? But they're a solid team. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Nebraska is just too good this year. Definitely Nebraska's one of the best teams in the country, in my opinion, especially when they're hot. So I don't think it's going to happen, but watch out for that one. Troy, 13 over a 4 seed. Troy over Nebraska. Next, VCU over North Carolina. That's 3 I'm talking about in the South region. We talked about McNeese over Vandy, Troy over Nebraska, and VCU over North Carolina, and this is the one that I'm picking. I'm picking VCU over North Carolina, and here's the reason why. His name is Caleb Wilson. That's the reason why. They don't have Caleb Wilson, and he is their everything. He's the most rebounds per game, most points per game. He just carried that team all season, and they were really hoping to get him back, but he broke his thumb, and obviously we know he's out for the season. So unfortunately, he's done, and I think that their tournament hopes and their hopes for a Final Four run, maybe even a championship run, are going to come to an end. Now, you might say, well, VCU hasn't played anyone all year. They haven't done anything all year. I mean, they just won the A10, the Atlantic 10 Conference. And you might say, well, that's no big deal. It's the Atlantic 10. Well, there's some good teams that come out of the Atlantic 10. St. Louis is usually a solid team. And I'm trying to remember some other teams that are in the Atlantic 10 off the top of my head, but I can't remember. So Dayton, they've been great before. A few years ago during COVID, they were ranked in the top 5. Dayton was an incredible team that year. They only lost to Vandy. Well, they lost to Vandy by 15 early in the season, but that's really not that bad. That's really not that bad for how good Vandy is. They lost to NC State by 6. So they beat Virginia Tech by almost 20. And Virginia Tech beat Virginia. So, I mean, obviously it's basketball, so anything can happen, but I'm taking VCU over North Carolina. So get ready for that bracket buster right there. So a lot of people are taking it. It's a very popular pick as well, but I'm rocking with it. Give me VCU. They made a huge tournament run of like over a decade ago with Shaka Smart. So maybe they're the Cinderella of this tournament. Let's move on to the West region where Arizona is the 1 seed. There is a few here. High Point versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin, if I remember correctly, is 1-5 as a 5 seed. Let me fact check that. I should have already had it up here, but I forgot. Okay, it's not telling me their record as a 5 seed. It's just telling me their tournament record. Anyways, they have struggled as a 5 seed. I can't remember the exact record. I think it's 1-5 if I remember correctly. And High Point, they were in it last year, and a lot of people picked them to beat Purdue. They were playing Purdue, and a lot of people picked them. I did, and they ended up not doing it. But High Point is very high on the offense. Again, this is this 12-5 seed that everyone loves. Everyone loves picking these 12 versus 5 because it's very popular. It happens like every single year. It happened I cannot remember the last time, to my knowledge, that a 12 seed didn't beat a 5 seed in at least one game of the tournament. So this is a very popular pick. They're averaging 90 points a game on 49% from the field. But I think that between Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, that Wisconsin's just going to be too much. But watch out for High Point. That definitely could happen. Because what we've talked about this before already. Wisconsin has a way of struggling against the teams they shouldn't struggle against, and winning against the teams that you wouldn't think they would win against. So if Wisconsin gets past this game, watch out, because the next matchup is probably against Arkansas. That is going to be an incredible game between Wisconsin and Arkansas. Next is SMU or Texas versus BYU. SMU or Texas. I think it's SMU or Texas. No, it's not. It's not. It's Texas or NC State, I'm pretty sure. I think. Now I'm fumbling here. It's not. It didn't tell me in this bracket. Yeah, my bad. It's Texas versus NC State. Sorry about that. Texas versus NC State playing BYU. I think NC State will win that game over Texas, but NC State, could they beat BYU? 100%. They have some really good, talented players, and they're none better than their best player. Transfer from Texas Tech is Darion Williams, I'm pretty sure. Darion Williams is his name, if I remember correctly. Man, my memory is just failing me tonight, and it's bothering me so bad. Darion Williams, yes. He's their best player this year for sure. He's been really great for them. They've had some good games. I mean, they've definitely lost to some teams they shouldn't have lost to. They got killed by Louisville when Mikael Brown Jr. broke the record for ACC points in a game. But they have some solid wins as well. I mean, they beat number 18 at the time, Clemson. Let's see. Is that their only good win? That might be. They only lost to Kansas by 1. Ooh, lost to Auburn by 10. They already lost to Texas. I did not know this. They lost to Texas 102-97. I'm still taking NC State to beat Texas in this game. And without Richie Saunders, we've seen BYU be vulnerable. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma State. They went through a patch where I think they lost 4 or 5 games in a row. I think they lost 4 out of 5 games. So they won 1 game in 5 games. And they've just struggled. But I think AJ Dibansa is going to be too much for NC State, and he's going to carry them to a win. Because that BYU team is still talented enough to make it to the Sweet 16, even without Richie Saunders. I just think that I picked them early as a championship winner, and I think that they would have been higher up if he would have stayed healthy all season. The next one, let's go ahead and go down. That's all it is for the West region. Let's go ahead and down for the Midwest region. I'm going to kind of move a little quicker here. Akron versus Texas Tech. Akron just won the MAC. My brother Tucker, the other host, he predicted that Akron would win. Without JT Toppin, Texas Tech is way more vulnerable. I mean, he carries that team in rebounds and points. Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell are really going to have to step it up to beat this team, because it's a good team of the MAC. I think personally a little bit better overall than Miami, Ohio, and they have a tougher schedule. Akron beat Pittsburgh and Syracuse. Not two great teams, but two high ACC teams, and they've been good before. Obviously, we know Syracuse has been good before. And the next one, unfortunately, is Hofstra versus Alabama. I'm saying that this is a scare. I was going to say it anyways, but it's even more of a scare now. If you haven't heard, Aiden Holloway is probably out of the March Madness tournament because he got arrested for the possession of marijuana. I don't understand why you would put your team at risk like that. Why would you do this to your team? It's a very selfish thing to do, and just shame on Aiden Holloway for that. I would rather them. I honestly I'm like, even though I'm a Bama fan, I kind of hope they lose, because it's like, you're an idiot. You're a moron. Stop doing stupid things. For some reason, Bama cannot go a season without some drama. So maybe that's their big issue, is just not having is having all this drama. And again, next one is SMU or Miami, Ohio versus Tennessee. Now, I think this one's a little bit less on the bubble of upsets, but I think that it's definitely possible. I think SMU is going to beat Miami, Ohio, and I think it'll be a close. I think Tennessee is going to be too much for SMU, but that's definitely a game that could happen. Is SMU beating Tennessee, because Tennessee they've struggled. They've really struggled on the offensive end. Besides Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie, they've really struggled. And the next one and last one, this is not a huge upset, but Santa Clara, number 10 seed over Kentucky, 7 seed. I'm taking this as well. I'm taking Santa Clara over Kentucky. Now, it's not a huge one. It's 10 versus 7, but I wanted to talk about this because it's Kentucky. I mean, we know Kentucky's history. They're not that good this year. They rely solely on Denzel Aberdeen and Otega Oweh to pretty much get the job done. Now, Colin Chandler has come into his own. He really has. He's been a great player of late. But Santa Clara, a really solid team, a team that takes care of the ball. And I think that they're going to get it done, and they're going to upset Kentucky, and all the Wildcat fans are going to be very sad that they're out of the first round. That's all we got for tonight, guys. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you have a great March Madness season. God bless everyone. Roll Tide.